Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again to IELTS 4 Weeks to Success with me, Vandana. And today it's going to be our final session of this particular series. And we are going to dive deep into Speaking Part 3, IELTS Speaking Part 3. So stay tuned and let's get started. Here we go. So we are going to be talking about IELTS Speaking Part 3 and we are going to dissect it in small little tidbits. So let's talk about it. Let's understand the overview of especially part 3 of IELTS speaking. Now, this part is known as the discussion round. Why exactly this part is known as the discussion round? Because firstly, whatever answers you are giving, the examiner might dig another question from your answer itself. Anyway, so this part is known as discussion round and the questions are based on the topic you get in the second part. So for example, if you get in the part 2, if you got the topic that, okay, talk about an elderly person whom you admire, then the part 3 is also going to be on elderly people. Then in part 3, the examiner may ask you questions like, what is the right age for retirement? So the part 3 questions will be general, part 2 questions and part 1, they are more personal. Moving on, the questions are not about you. They are about people and situations in general. Now, this is something that's pretty important. When the question is not about you, don't make the answer about yourself. Give a general answer. Otherwise, the examiner may pinpoint you. The next one here says the examiner may ask you around 4 to 6 questions in this part. And how long are you supposed to speak in each of the questions, on each of the questions? Well, in part 3, you need to give in-depth answers. A one-liner or 2-3-liner answer will not work. You need to speak somewhere around 5 to 7 sentences. Plus, you need to include examples also in part 3 if it is possible for you. Then you won't be given time to think in this part. So what do I mean by this? So for example, in IELTS part 2, speaking part 2, you are given 1 minute to think of some ideas. But here in part 3, you will have to be super spontaneous. The moment a question is asked, you need to start speaking on that question. And to do that confidently, it takes no brainer. I mean, it's a no brainer that you need to practice doing that. And then you need to give well explained answers. Like I said, that a one-liner or 2-3-liner answer will not work. It has to be in-depth answer with 5 to 7 sentences and explanation and examples. So this was just the overview. Moving on now. See here, I have made a list of some common topics. Now, I am not saying that these are the only topics you should prepare, but yes, these are the topics on which you should be able to speak like a pro. Okay, ma'am, हम MIT जाना चाहते हैं तो English कैसे improve करें? So for that, you work on your speaking skills and that's what we are doing in this session, Ronak. You stay till the end and keep interacting through the chat box, okay? As far as improving English is concerned, it's a complete package. You have to speak, you have to work on your grammar, you have to listen and read, and you have to do all this on a daily basis. So it's a complete package. You have to create that atmosphere around you, okay? And you have to do all these things on daily basis to give you answer in short. Okay. Now, yes, what I was saying about these topics, I was saying that, yes, there can be n number of topics for part 3, but many times students ask me that, what do I do if I don't have the knowledge on that topic? Now, guys, what I'm trying to say here is that the examiner is not going to ask any technical question. The examiner, for example, will not ask you ki coding kaise kari jati hai, how to do coding. That's a very technical question. The examiner is going to ask you questions on these common general topics on which all of us should be able to speak. And if you are not able to speak, it's perfectly fine. Start recognizing the topics which are creating problem for you. Jot them down. उसको लिख लो सारे topics को, jot them down at one place and start reading articles around those topics. You will have to work if you want to sound confident, okay? Now, moving on. Okay, here are some common tips. See, in part 3 of IELTS speaking, a lot of questions are opinion based. So you need to give your opinion right? And that's what exactly I'm saying here. Give your opinion on the question asked. Give it very clearly. Don't beat around the bush. And then explain using reasons. Now, once your opinion is done, now you explain using reasons. And then add an example if possible. Now, in IELTS speaking part 3, see, you can add examples in part 1 as well as part 2, but they are highly recommended for speaking part 3. Here, examples are highly recommended. And what kind of examples? Well, you can give personal examples also, and you can give general examples also. Both are acceptable. Moving on, record yourself regularly to improve pronunciation. Yes, if you are somebody who is working on improving your speaking skills, who is watching a lot of videos, who is reading articles, reading books, बहुत काम कर रहे हो आप अपनी language skills के ऊपर. Firstly, I appreciate it. I really do. But if you are missing this step, if you have not started recording yourself, then this is a very important step that you are missing. Please start recording yourself if you are going ahead to take the IELTS exam or not. If you are working on your English language skills, your speaking skills, you must record yourself. Must. Moving on, make a list of topics that you are not confident of and read articles on those topics. This is sort of a shortcut that I'm telling you. A lot of times, just students just go blank and they don't. For example, there is this question which says, how can we encourage people to visit museums more? And this is a part 3 question. And when I ask these questions, the students go blank because honestly, when was the last time we thought of museums? We don't think of museums on a daily basis, right? So what you are supposed to do is you're supposed to recognize such topics and start reading articles around them. मैम मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा कौन से मॉड्यूल से स्टार्ट करूं. Okay, Arjun. Well, that depends that when exactly you want to take the exam. Also, it also depends that which is the easiest module for you. जो आपको सबसे easy module लगता है ना, start with that because that will bring your confidence level up. Okay, so for this particular series, which is IELTS 4 Week to Success, today is the last session. And if you are a paid student, Arjun, if you are in our paid batches, then I really can't comment that how many classes are left because I don't know which batch you are in. Okay, right. So moving on. Okay, now I was giving you this example of this museum wala question. What I was saying was that sometimes students go blank. Like I said, whenever I ask these kind of questions, like how can we encourage people to visit more museums? Now, on daily basis, we don't really think of these things. We don't really think of art. We don't really think of museums. We don't really think of marketing and business, right? So what I was saying was first, make a list of these topics and start reading articles around them. If you are not a reader, start reading short articles on them. You will have to take this much of pain if you want to improve yourself. And secondly, let's imagine you have done all the work. You are now super prepared for the IELTS exam and you have booked the exam and you on the day of exam are sitting face to face with the examiner and suddenly examiner asks you any question on which you go blank. Now what will you do? Suddenly, if the examiner asks any such question on which you just go blank, you just freeze, you don't have ideas. In that case, use some of the phrases that I'm going to show you, which you can use rather than taking pauses. You can fill that pause using these phrases. So, for example, let's imagine आपको म्यूजियम के ऊपर कोई आ ही नहीं रहा है, आइडिया ही नहीं आ रहा है. So, rather than sitting there in a frozen way, you can say, well, that's an interesting question. I never thought about it. So, well, I haven't thought about that before, but now that you have touched the topic, I would say blah, blah, blah. Or you can say, I suppose it depends, but in general, I believe blah, blah, blah. मैम अगर मैं ओनली आपकी ये यूट्यूब वाला बैच देखूं तो क्या ये भी इनफ होगा? अर्जुन देखो, इट डिपेंड्स ऑन अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स. इफ यू वांट फीडबैक, अगर आपको आपके स्पीकिंग और राइटिंग के ऊपर फीडबैक चाहिए, देन यू विल हैव टू टेक पेड बैचेस बिकॉज यहाँ यूट्यूब पे हम आपका काम नहीं देख पा रहे हैं, आप हमारा काम देख पा रहे हो, but we are not able to see your work. We are not able to see how you speak, how you write. So if you want to improve there, then of course you will have to take the paid batches. Okay? All right. I was talking about these phrases that suddenly, if you go blank, rather than taking a long pause, you can use these phrases. अब इससे क्या होगा? What will happen? You know what will happen while you are using these phrases? Your mind will be thinking of ideas. And then finally, you will have something to say. So it's genuinely a great way. It's genuinely a great way to fill those pauses, to avoid those pauses. All right. And now we are going to practice a few questions. See, I'm going to show you a few questions and I want your ideas in the chat box here in the comments. I really get confused between chat and comments. But anyway, I would want to see your comments here, your ideas here. I'll give you time for that. I'll give you time to type. And once you have posted your ideas, then I will give you a sample answer, right? So here we go. The very first question is, what facilities are more important to people living in cities? Only think about the first question right now. Only think about the first question right now, and I'm giving you about good 2 minutes. Post your answers in the chat, but not answers. You cannot write full-fledged answers, but post just your ideas, as in the keywords in the chat box. So 2 minutes, guys, off you go. Remember, you are only supposed to post your ideas for the very first question. What facilities are more important to people living in cities? Just name the facilities in the chat box and then I'll give you a sample answer. Come on, be quick. Environment is not a facility. Facility means parks, hospitals, schools, internet, transport. So now tell me, what is most important for you out of these? Okay. So now that I see you are struggling with idea generation, guys, look here. We are talking about facilities that are important to people living in cities. What can be some ideas? For me, the most important thing is internet. And it's not only me, I believe a lot of people are there like me. For them, internet is the most important thing these days. And then, of course, the transport facilities. And for private transport, we need smooth roads. That means infrastructure. And of course, stuff like parks, schools, colleges, universities. Right? These are some of the ideas that I've written for you. Now, how will I speak on this? Okay, so listen to my answer carefully. What facilities are more important to people living in cities? Also understand that the question is talking about facilities. That means it's talking about plural ideas. If your entire answer is about one idea, then the examiner may ask you कि ठीक है अच्छा, tell about one more facility. So be very careful of these small little things. Because this word facilities is plural, you need to mention at least 2 facilities in your answer along with explanation. Okay, just listing down these ideas will not work. You have to explain. So now just hear me explain these ideas, right? So I would say, well, I am a Delhiite. I have lived in a city all my life, and there are plenty of amenities that are important for people like me. For example, the most important amenity for me and other people also, I believe, in today's day and age would be a high speed internet. And I would highlight high speed internet rather than saying only the internet. That's majorly because a lot of people these days are working remotely. And when people work remotely, in a way, they are contributing to the economy. And they won't be able to work remotely if the internet is not high speed, which ultimately is going to impact our economy. Secondly, I also believe that in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, we get a lot of traffic congestion. And to resolve this, people feel that public transport facilities are really important, and that is why they should be improved a little more. They should be made a little more convenient and comfortable. Although we have them, but there is room for improvement. And I would also say that for private vehicles, we need smooth infrastructure. Like I said, we have flyovers and roads, but there is room for more improvement since we get congestion all the time. So these are some facilities that would be really important, I would say, for people living in cities. So that was my first answer. Samuel Alim says education, absolutely. Schools, colleges, universities, absolutely, Samuel. Right? So if you heard me carefully, I explained about internet. I said why internet is important because people are working remotely. Not that we like to scroll reels, but because people are working remotely, that is why internet is important. You can also add here that a lot of students have enrolled themselves in distant education, the way you are right now tuned into this session, this YouTube live. How exactly is that possible? That is possible because of high speed internet, right? So all these ideas, if you see, they are very simple ideas, right? All you need is practice. Now, moving on to the second one, it says, is going to cinema to watch a movie popular in your country? Now, here they are asking you your opinion first. So, first you need to say that, okay, whether it's popular or not. Now, your opinion can be either yes or it can be no. Whatever your opinion is, after stating that opinion, you need to explain. चाहे आप yes बोलो that yes it's popular, और चाहे आप no बोलो that no it's not popular. Whatever your opinion is, you need to explain that. First your opinion, then your explanation. And if possible, add an example also. So I'm again giving you 2 minutes. Post some ideas in the chat box, only ideas, and then we'll go forward. And then I'll again give you a sample answer. Come on, what's your opinion? Do you think they are popular going to this trend? Do you think this trend is a popular trend, going to cinema to watch a movie? Come on, post yes or no in the chat box, in the comment section. All right. Now, let's see how I would answer this question. Okay, now this is opinion based question, and that is why I would give my opinion first. Let's read the question once. So it says, is going to cinema to watch a movie popular in your country? I would say, well, it used to be. It used to be a popular trend before the pandemic hit the world. A lot of people had this routine of going to a cinema every once in a while, probably once in a fortnight, and watch a movie with their friends and family and unwind. But after the pandemic, things have become different. And that's majorly because during the pandemic, OTT platforms were introduced, and now people have gotten used to them. And they have plenty of reasons for that, because they can still enjoy the latest content in good quality and at cheaper rates. And that has impacted the popularity of going to a cinema adversely. So I would say, well, this was a very popular trend, but at present, its popularity has gone down definitely thanks to the OTT platforms that we have. Okay, and we can also add the example of Netflix here. Like I said, that we are able to watch latest content in good quality and in the comfort zone of our homes. So that is why I believe the trend has gone down a little bit. That was the second answer. Moving to the next one. How well do people generally know their neighbors in your country? Do they know their neighbors quite well? Do they talk to them every day? Do they talk to them once in a week? Do they know their names? What is your opinion on this? Post in the comments. I would like to see your comments. 1 minute, guys. All right. You know what I would do in such questions? Okay, let's read the question. It says, how well do people generally know their neighbors in your country? So we can't say that everybody knows their neighbors very nicely, or everybody is busy, they don't have the time to greet their neighbors every day. We can't categorize the entire population in one category. And that is why in such questions, I classify in two categories. I classify people in two categories. So how would I do that? I would say, well, this what happens in tier 1 cities and what happens in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, because the trend is entirely different. So that's how I'll be able to give length to my answer. So how would I speak? I would say, well, okay, look at the question. How well do people generally know their neighbors in your country? All right. So I would say, well, it really depends. So for example, if you are somebody who is from a tier 1 city like Delhi or Mumbai, here the lifestyle is pretty fast and people are extremely busy in their own world, and they don't really have time to meet and greet their neighbors every single day. For example, if you talk about me, I don't even know the names of some of my neighbors. That's how the people in Delhi and Mumbai are. Yes, we do smile at each other, but that's all about it. But when we talk about tier 2 and tier 3 cities, then the trend is entirely different over there. It's a close-knit community. People even know what the other person is cooking in their house. So I would say, if I compare tier 1 versus tier 2 and tier 3 cities, the trend is entirely different. So it depends where exactly you are living and how busy you are. It depends on that. So that would be the answer to my third question. Listening में दिक्कत आ रही है. Okay, Arjun, whatever your problem area is listening में, आप listening वाले session में उसको बताना, ठीक है? Because right now we are practicing speaking. So listening में आपको जो भी problem आ रही है, you tell us in the comment section when the listening session is going on, ठीक है? But I can tell you this much, that you should practice only from Cambridge books. And you should practice in such a way that आप पहले audio चलाओ, you write your answers, then you check your answers, and after checking your answers, when you realize that okay, I got 2 incorrect, then play the audio again and again till the time you understand your errors. And even after playing the audio, if you are not able to understand, then at the back of Cambridge books, the script is also given. So use that script. Okay, but you will have to repeatedly do the things where you are making errors repeatedly. That's the mantra. Okay, so I think with that, it's a wrap, guys. And I'll now see you in the next series. And what series would you want us to come up with? Do you want us IELTS only, or do you want us to come up with any particular series of your choice? You can post your choice in the comment section. We'll be more than happy to read your comments and implement our actions accordingly. So that's about it, guys. I'll see you. Bye bye. Take care.